Yeah. Greetings to all of you. Let's see. So, I'm Simo from Erillisverkot, which you might not know. It's a Finnish government-owned telecom operator serving only the kind of the governmental customers, which I will present shortly. I think the image explains itself. Our customers are all kind of the mission-critical ones, and most of them are not stationary, and they do need some secure means of communications as well. They need some time and sync. And our mission in all of our things we do for them is to provide the most secure and reliable ICT services, mainly connectivity for all the critical players. And you can think about these guys in this picture and the previous ones. They might be important. A few words about how you can test how well you are prepared when you see that you are in a full GNSS-denied environment. Of course, you can imagine that, okay, I will try this in lab. Okay, do some simulations, stuff like that, throwing some jamming, spoofing, anything you can think of into the mix. But then you are missing out the reality, the physical conditions, and also the things from the live sky. Oh yeah, you can throw that into the lab simulation as well, but still not the same. Jammertest. We've been there twice with Erillisverkot, and we took NetInsight with us this year. And we were evaluating a bunch of receivers, a bunch of time nodes, time-critical boxes from many vendors to our users. And the idea there is that the Norwegian authorities have been so kind to allow this kind of thing to happen. It's a yearly event where you can, in live atmosphere there, experience jamming, really sophisticated spoofing, military grade. And it's mainly hosted by the Norwegian authorities. You can look up Jammertest.no, who they are, and it's supported from Norwegian, Swedish, and Finnish military. So, quite good. It's a full week of testing. It's something like 250 tests in total. High power, jamming, spoofing, meaconing, all the tricks, all the mean things you can think of. And that is being done in, like the picture with the nice sea and all the cliffs show you, in a real environment. The spoofing is coming in that, in most of cases, is coming down from a mountain into a small village where you can plant your stuff as they are doing in the stationary lab there, the NetInsight guys, or you can do tribe testing along some roads, and there's like 4 different places you can fiddle around with these scenarios. If you haven't been there yet, and if you are operating something that relies on time from the orbit, if you're producing something like that, evaluating something like that, go there, because you will know that your devices will fail. If somebody tells you otherwise, I'm willing to see the proof of it. I have seen everything fail. Some worse, some a bit better. But that's the intention. So, coming from Finland, it's kind of easy to say that you should be prepared, if you know from the history. I would say that we have been listening to a lot of brilliant talks about how to be kind of resilient with GNSS or some other means of getting the time from the orbit. Okay, it's good when you have it. You need to know when you can trust it, and you need to do the decisions by yourself or with some reliable partner. The thing is that when it all comes to an end. You don't get anything from the sky. How do you survive? Of course, you have a local holdover capability, atomic clock, basically. You need to be able to steer it after some time. So you need to bring in time from somewhere. Okay? If you are stationary, you can bring it over fiber. Well played. Use PTP, White Rabbit, whatever. Choose your flavor. But if you're not stationary and pre-set up for that scenario, you might not have anything. You might end up playing with some experimental stuff, even with some quantum stuff, which sounds always scary for the most of people. I'll go to that later on. But now, Hans can tell about a bit of their technology.
Yes. Yeah, as Simo said, I mean, it's 250 plus test cases up in Norway. And you bring lots of devices, lots of different configurations, something set up to be naive, something set up to be resilient. So in this test case, we actually told the device to be kind of play nice, and the time device has, I mean, as Simo said, there is important to have several different sources of time as well. So this time device has a combiner where it can select and combine different time sources. And it's set up to have the GNSS time as the primary source and the network as a backup. And in this particular test case in Norway, it was pretty easy for the time device because the horizontal position was going left, right, and center. The vertical position was going up and down. There was new satellites appearing out of absolute nowhere, and I mean, all alarms was ringing on the GNSS receiver. So, I mean, it was very easy for this combiner function to immediately abandon GNSS before even it started to get compromised, and go to the backup, maintain, in this case, a 30 nanosecond accuracy from the network while this jamming and spoofing was going on. And then also have the possibility to decide when to go back to GNSS. When is the GNSS signal reliable again? That's actually quite difficult. This is a normal test case, and this is actually mandatory in Sweden to even have a mobile network. You must have timing redundancy. But not all test cases are that nice. So in this case, you use the different time sources also to realize which time sources to trust. So it's not only there for redundancy, it's also to strengthen your own resilience. So in this case, same setup, GNSS time primary and the network backup. In this case, it was a lot more sophisticated spoofing. So we started with the jamming, and then we came out of the jamming, and everything was green. There was, I mean, no deviations, but we have the ability to compare. The combiner constantly compare and evaluates the different time sources. And in this case, it was seeing that GNSS time is actually behaving suspicious compared to the time that we received over the network. So even though it was a very, very sophisticated spoofing attack, we abandoned, or the device abandoned GNSS, went to network holdover, disqualified it, and then for this entirely spoofing period, it was relying solely on network time, and then when it went off, it went back to GNSS. So several sources is not only a redundancy, it's not only to provide a second timing, it also provide reliability and resilience to your timing solution.
All right, thanks. We have heard about great technologies, how to do this. I'm just going to tell what we have been exploring when you only have time, multiple sources of time, and you use those and your homebrew method for tracking which time is the accurate one, which one you should use, and basically when to abandon the use of GNSS if that was used in the first place. You should monitor all the sources constantly. Then you can kind of detect when changes happen and drop the unreliable sources, which can also be other than the GNSS. It can be the network time. It helps that the friendly chip vendors throw in great kind of these flagging functions that, okay, now we are spoofed, now we have jammed. It helps. But that's only one trick in the book. But when you have a situation that all the GNSS-based time sources are untrusted, you have to trust that you have a good holdover. You have to have means how to do some correction to the timing over some network. If you have a network, well, all of our users have to have a network for their communications anyway, so why not use that for sync also? A thought for you. As Hans mentioned, the tricky part is if you want to rely on GNSS source. How do you know that it's the wise time and choice to do now? Good question. Well, we did, among some other things, on our trip to Jammertest, a bit of a kind of a scenario play of how we can deploy rapidly Finnish time to Norway and over whatever IP. It's roughly 1,500 kilometers, and the first graph there is layer 3 tunneling with encryptors, so basically IPsec over LTE, roughly plus minus 2 milliseconds. Fixed internet, not so good internet, but still fixed internet, roughly plus minus 20 microseconds. The bottom one wasn't done in Norway. That's being done as we speak from mainland Finland to the Åland Islands and back. We are using time that we have in the kind of the, let's say, Turku area. We take it over 400 plus kilometers over DWDM network with, let's say, prePTS solution, and encrypted on layer 1 with quantum key solutions that I'm going to show you about in the following slides. This is an actual time use case. Erillisverkot is part of the National Quantum Communications Initiative Consortium in Finland, and we are exploring a bunch of use cases for these critical infra users or governmental users. The idea of the whole EuroQCI project is to build a network of 27 EU countries to be able to share their secret data on like a really, really decent level of security. And it's getting further. Next year we are connecting our national network to Sweden and to Estonia. So we already have it in Finland. If you have questions, we can have it online. This will take too much time. Few lessons learned. Hans, what have you learned?
Yes, we have learned that you must have multiple sources of time, always. I mean, it's even a mandatory must in Sweden for mobile, and we evaluated in Jammertest on the most harsh circumstances. And
yeah, if you want to take some ideas out of my sayings here, get out of your lab. You only can see what you simulate there. You have no sense of reality inside the lab. Test your stuff on the field. Test the other stuff, other vendors' stuff on the field, and see if you're doing better, worse. As you can see from GPS Jam, we have seen all these pictures yesterday, today. Finland is experiencing jamming Not only jamming, it used to be just jamming mainly, but now really sophisticated spoofing all the time. So you have to be able to operate in such conditions, not only in some simulation or in warfare, but in daily basis. So be wise, prepare, choose your time sources that you can trust wisely. My 2 cents. Thank you.